Honolulu, Hawaii, December 7th, 1941. The sun rises slowly over the Pacific Ocean. Palm trees sway gently in the morning breeze. Church bells will soon ring across the city. For thousands of people living here, this Sunday begins like any other. Sailors prepare for breakfast. Families plan a quiet morning walk. Some residents head toward the beaches. Others drive through the peaceful streets of Honolulu. Just a few miles away, the massive naval base at Pearl Harbor is waking up for another routine day. Battleships sit quietly in the harbor. Aircraft rest on airfields. Most soldiers and sailors believe they are far from the front lines of war. But far beyond the horizon, something is already moving through the sky. Within hours, the peaceful morning will disappear, and the world will change forever. In 1941, Hawaii is not yet a state of the United States. Instead, it is an American territory located in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, thousands of miles from the mainland. Despite the distance, the islands hold enormous strategic importance. Ships traveling between North America and Asia often pass through these waters, making Hawaii a vital gateway across the Pacific. The city of Honolulu has grown into the largest urban center on the islands. Palm-lined streets stretch along the coastline. Small shops, markets, and restaurants fill the busy downtown districts. Streetcars move slowly through the city, carrying workers, sailors, and local residents between neighborhoods. Tourists visit the famous beaches, enjoying warm weather and clear ocean water. But Honolulu is not only a tropical destination. It is also deeply connected to the American military presence in the Pacific. Just outside the city lies the massive naval base at Pearl Harbor. Thousands of sailors, officers, mechanics, and soldiers live and work in the surrounding areas. Military trucks move along the roads. Uniformed sailors are a common sight in cafes and shops. For many residents, the military has become part of everyday life. Yet, despite the growing global tensions of the late 1930s and early 1940s, most people in Honolulu still believe the islands are far away from the danger of war. A short distance west of Honolulu lies one of the most important military installations in the Pacific, Pearl Harbor. The harbor itself is naturally protected, a deep inlet surrounded by land, calm waters, and carefully guarded entrances. For the United States Navy, it is the perfect location to station a powerful fleet in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. By 1941, the base has grown into a massive military complex. Long piers stretch into the water where battleships, destroyers, cruisers, and support vessels are docked side by side. Steel hulls reflect the morning sunlight while sailors move across the decks performing routine duties. Some crews are conducting maintenance. Others are refueling ships or checking navigation equipment. Nearby, large fuel storage tanks stand beside repair yards where engineers and mechanics work on engines and heavy machinery. Airfields surrounding the harbor hold rows of military aircraft ready for training flights. Pilots attend briefings, while ground crews inspect engines and weapon systems. From a distance, the entire base operates like a carefully organized machine. Thousands of sailors, officers, mechanics, and workers move through their daily routines. It looks powerful, prepared, secure. But on this particular Sunday morning, the atmosphere feels unusually relaxed. Many ships have reduced activity because it is the weekend. Some sailors are still sleeping. Others are planning to spend their day in Honolulu. And while the harbor appears calm and orderly, No one at the base yet realizes that far out over the Pacific Ocean, aircraft are already heading toward Hawaii. Sunday mornings in Honolulu are quiet. Families walk through neighborhoods. Children ride bicycles along warm streets. Church services begin across the city. Restaurants prepare breakfast for sailors visiting from the naval base. Streetcars move slowly through town. The air smells of ocean salt and tropical flowers. People talk about ordinary things, work, family, weekend plans. Almost no one suspects that history is approaching because the sky above the Pacific still looks calm, blue, empty, peaceful. But far away, hundreds of miles north of Hawaii, a fleet of aircraft carriers is moving through the ocean. By late 1941, leaders within the Japanese military believe that war with the United States may soon become unavoidable. Tensions between the two nations have been rising for years. Economic sanctions, oil embargoes, and political disagreements have placed enormous pressure on Japan's leadership. Without access to critical resources, Japan fears its expansion across Asia could stall. Some military planners begin considering a bold and risky strategy. If war with the United States is inevitable, they argue, then the first move must be decisive. The goal would be to strike the American Pacific Fleet before it has time to respond. That fleet is stationed thousands of miles from the American mainland at a base in Hawaii, Pearl Harbor. Destroy those ships in a single surprise attack, and Japan might gain valuable time to secure territory across the Pacific. Planning begins in secret. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto pushes for a daring operation that many initially consider too dangerous. Aircraft carriers will carry hundreds of planes across the northern Pacific. Pilots will train for months to perfect low-altitude torpedo attacks and coordinated bombing runs. The entire mission depends on surprise. If the Americans detect the fleet early, the plan could fail completely. But if everything works exactly as planned, the first blow of the war will fall suddenly from the sky. As the morning continues across Honolulu, the rhythm of the day remains calm and familiar. The tropical sun climbs higher above the island of Oahu, warming the quiet streets and rooftops of the city. Palm leaves move gently in the breeze coming from the Pacific. For most residents, it feels like a perfect Hawaiian Sunday. In small neighborhoods across Honolulu, families prepare for church or gather around breakfast tables. Radios play soft music and morning news broadcasts. Children run through yards and along sidewalks, enjoying the warm weather before the day grows hotter. Closer to the coast, sailors from the nearby naval base walk through the streets wearing white uniforms. Some head toward cafes and diners that welcome weekend visitors from the fleet. Others stroll along the waterfront, enjoying their rare day of rest after long weeks of training and duty. Only a few miles away, inside the massive harbor of Pearl Harbor, the American Pacific Fleet sits quietly at anchor. Battleships rest side by side along the docks. Crew members move slowly across the decks, performing routine morning tasks, cleaning equipment, checking supplies, preparing for another ordinary day of service. The harbor looks peaceful. The water is calm. Above the ships, the sky remains clear and bright. Nothing in the scene suggests that danger is approaching. Yet far beyond the horizon, unseen by everyone on the island, dozens of aircraft are already moving toward Hawaii. And with every passing minute, those planes are getting closer. Shortly after dawn, the decks of the Japanese aircraft carriers erupt with activity. Engines roar to life one by one. Ground crews rush across the flight decks, checking fuel lines, securing weapons, and signaling pilots forward. The ocean around the fleet is quiet, the horizon empty in every direction. Far from shipping routes, hidden in the vast northern Pacific, the task force prepares for one of the most ambitious surprise attacks in modern military history. One by one, the aircraft begin taking off. First, the torpedo bombers, then the high-level bombers, then the fighter escorts that will protect them. The planes climb into the cold morning air, forming tight formations above the carriers before turning south. Below them stretches nothing but endless ocean. For the pilots inside those cockpits, the flight is tense and silent. They know their mission depends entirely on surprise. If American forces detect them too early, the entire operation could fail. So the aircraft fly low across the Pacific, engines humming steadily, navigating carefully toward the Hawaiian Islands. Hour after hour they move closer to their target, closer to Oahu, closer to the American fleet anchored at Pearl Harbor, and closer to the quiet islands where the morning has only just begun. As the first wave of Japanese aircraft approaches the Hawaiian Islands, the morning still appears calm from the ground. The sky above Oahu is bright and clear. Visibility stretches for miles across the ocean. From the beaches and city streets, nothing unusual can be seen yet. But high above the water, dozens of aircraft are already closing in on the island. At one of the radar stations on the northern side of Oahu, a small group of operators monitors their equipment. Radar technology is still relatively new, and the station is primarily used for training and experimentation. Shortly after 7 a.m., one of the operators notices something unusual on the screen. A large cluster of signals appears far out over the ocean. At first, the shapes look confusing, far larger than anything normally seen during routine patrol flights. The operators watch as the signals slowly move closer to the island. Concern grows. They report the contact to a nearby information center, but the message receives little attention. Officials believe the radar is likely detecting American aircraft expected to arrive from the mainland later that morning. No alert is issued. No warning sirens sound. Meanwhile, the aircraft continue moving steadily toward Oahu. Inside the cockpits, Japanese pilots begin preparing for the attack. Below them, the island still looks peaceful. The harbor is calm. Battleships sit quietly at anchor. Airfields appear orderly and unguarded. The element of surprise, the most important part of the plan, is still intact, and within minutes, the quiet Hawaiian sky will no longer be empty. Then suddenly, the quiet sky above Hawaii begins to change. At first, only a few distant engine sounds break the calm morning air. Some sailors look up, expecting to see routine American aircraft flying over the harbor. Training flights are common. No one immediately suspects danger, but within seconds the number of aircraft in the sky grows. Dozens of planes appear over the island of Oahu. They fly low and fast. Their formation is tight and deliberate, and as the planes approach closer, the markings on their wings become visible. Red circles, the symbol of Imperial Japan. The realization spreads quickly. These are not American planes. They are attacking. Japanese bombers begin diving toward the ships anchored inside Pearl Harbor. Torpedo planes skim just above the water, aiming directly at the battleships lined along the harbor. Fighter aircraft roar across nearby airfields, strafing parked planes before they can even leave the ground. Within moments, explosions begin echoing across the harbor. Columns of water rise as torpedoes strike ships. Bombs crash through decks and detonate inside the vessels. Sailors run across burning decks trying to reach battle stations. Anti-aircraft guns begin firing toward the sky. Smoke quickly spreads across the harbor. What had started only minutes earlier as a quiet Sunday morning is now chaos. The surprise attack on Pearl Harbor is fully underway. The attack lasts less than 2 hours, but the damage is devastating. Battleships are sunk or heavily damaged. Hundreds of aircraft are destroyed. Thousands of sailors and soldiers are killed or wounded. The United States is shocked, and within hours, the nation prepares for war. The next day, President Franklin D. Roosevelt will describe the attack as a date which will live in infamy. America officially enters World War II. What you've just seen is a visual reconstruction of Honolulu and Pearl Harbor on the morning of December 7th, 1941, just before the historic attack that changed the course of World War II. The streets, naval base, and atmosphere were recreated using AI reconstruction technology to help visualize how the islands looked during those final peaceful hours before history changed.